What's up, everybody? It's Trey Smith, one half of the Blue Bloods College Game Time podcast, and today I want to talk about Urban Meyer and Notre Dame. But before we get into that, please hit subscribe. It's Blue Bloods College Game Time, Blue Bloods CGT. We are the YouTube channel that drops fresh college sports content every single day. So go ahead and hit subscribe right now. All right, let's talk about this because I've been asking this question since Urban Meyer was dismissed from Jacksonville. I've asked, does suddenly the seat get hotter for coaches like Marcus Freeman and Steve Sarkisian? I would even venture to say Marcus Freeman's seat gets even more hot or even hotter with Urban Meyer being on the market because of this historical sort of love affair between both Notre Dame and Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is a guy who's always had like this soft place in his heart for Notre Dame. I think deep down, it's a dream for him, a lifelong dream of his to be the head coach for the Fighting Irish. And then you've got the Fighting Irish, who Urban Meyer's kind of like the one who got away, right? We go back to 2004. Urban Meyer's coming off an undefeated season at Utah. He just coached the soon-to-be number one overall pick in the NFL draft in Alex Smith. Everyone's thinking he's getting ready to go to be the head coach at Notre Dame after they had just dismissed Coach Willingham. And then boom, he sort of surprises everyone, spurns the university, and goes to Florida. Now, his reasoning for that is he didn't feel like he would have enough time to build a program, so he needed to go somewhere where he felt like he could win big immediately. And with where the state of Florida was and the recruiting grounds, he thought, okay, I could go here, build a national championship roster without ever having to get on a plane if I don't want to. And that's exactly what he did. He won 2 national titles, got out, went to the broadcast booth for a year or two, went to Ohio State, won another national title there, left, got out, went to the broadcast booth for a year or two, went to the Jacksonville Jaguars thinking he could take on a challenge that he hasn't had yet, go to the NFL, rebuild an organization in the NFL, and we see how that has panned out. He's recently been dismissed. He's been getting a lot of bad publicity, whether it was the situation with him at the local bar in Ohio, whether it's a situation with my boy Josh Lambo, whether it's a situation that's kind of gone viral a little bit on Twitter with the former player from Ohio State talking about his experience as a Division I athlete. Just a lot of that obviously Urban's going to probably fall under the radar, maybe not even go to the broadcast booth, just try to be forgotten about for the next year. And then boom, he'll rise again as one of the hottest head coaching candidates in college football. And that's where I wonder, with looking at what just happened with Notre Dame in the bowl game. I said this from the jump. Marcus Freeman has more pressure on him than probably any other coach in the history of the game to win his first ever game. Otherwise, people are going to start calling for his job immediately. Is that fair to him? No. Do I think he's a great fit for Notre Dame? Yes. Do I want him to be successful at Notre Dame? Absolutely. I think the guy is a perfect balance of being a player's coach, but being a strong leader. He holds people accountable, but he also loves his people. And so I would love nothing more than to see Marcus Freeman take Notre Dame to the heights that they've been striving to get to for, since 94, the last time they won a major bowl game. But I do believe if Notre Dame goes 7-5, 8-4, and Urban Meyer's still sitting there on the market, Freeman's going to be out. And this connection that has never seemed to quite hit, except for when Urban Meyer was an assistant coach there, I think it's finally going to happen. I think we're going to see Urban Meyer become the head coach at the University of Notre Dame. Now, let me read to you a couple of excerpts from Urban Meyer's book. Oh, upside down. Urban's Way. Just a couple. Because even in the midst of winning national championships at Florida, and he's writing a biography and telling the story of that experience, he still made sure to dedicate quite a bit of this book to his affinity for Notre Dame. So the first thing, when it's talking about his childhood dreams, talks about his aspirations to play baseball as far as coaching in football. And then it said, he also shared a dream with just about every Catholic boy who loved football, to become the head coach of Notre Dame. And then a little bit later, when it's talking about when he met Shelley and they were getting ready to get married and they were embarking on this coaching life. Maybe they were already married, and it was when they were getting ready to go into the coaching life where, you can be traveling, you could be uprooted year to year, you can take new jobs year to year. And she's going, man, that's a lot of moving around. Like, you don't think we'll ever be planted somewhere? And he said, well, look, you have the authority to veto any coaching move that I ever want to make except for 3 jobs: Ohio State, Michigan, and Notre Dame. Now, he obviously already went to Ohio State and went to the top of the mountain. I just think that there is this small piece of him that's going, man, if I had the opportunity to be the head coach at Notre Dame, at this point in his career, I don't think he turns it down. And I think somewhere with Notre Dame's side, and maybe not so much speaking from the fans' perspective. In fact, if you're a Notre Dame fan, I would love for you to comment on this, like your own perspective as a fan. That's what our whole podcast and channel is about, for the fans, by the fans. Like, I'm just a fan just like you. But I do think that university has some roots that would love to bring in Urban Meyer, because they know if they bring in Urban Meyer, they're bringing in a guy who's going to take them to where they've been trying to get to. Urban Meyer is a guy that could take Notre Dame to the mountaintop. I don't think anyone could disagree with that. I think if you look at what he's done everywhere he's been, the systems he has in place as a college football coach, I think it's a sure shot hire, a sure thing, so to speak. But even down here, the last thing I'll read from this book, he's talking about when he was getting ready to go be an assistant at Notre Dame. It says, after all, this was the great Notre Dame, with all the echoes of college football tradition and history. The great Newt Rockne, the win one for the Gipper speech. The great Notre Dame with 7 Heisman Trophy winners and 13 national championships. That Notre Dame, the place of my dreams. How could I possibly turn down Notre Dame? I couldn't, and I didn't. Now, again, I know he turned it down in 2004, talked about that already. However, I would just say this is something to keep an eye on. If Notre Dame has anywhere in the ballpark of a subpar season and Urban Meyer is sitting there on the market, I think it actually happens. I almost feel like it's a little bit of destiny, because with all the bad publicity Urban Meyer's been getting, he's now going to be looking for a redemption story. And what a better way to end cap his career than for the lifelong Catholic boy to go to the Catholic university and lead them to college football prominence. Hey, I'm saying it's going to happen. Now, I also know some Notre Dame fans that say Notre Dame wouldn't touch Urban Meyer with a 10-foot pole. And then there's other ones saying we'd take him in a heartbeat. And I think that right now, with where the fan base is, they're a little bit torn on Marcus Freeman, because they really want him to do well and they want to support him. And you see who he is and how he is, and you can't help but want to rally around the guy. But when you look at them losing that Fiesta Bowl, and not just the fact that they lost it, it was more how Notre Dame lost that game. I think it's kind of polarized the fan base a little bit. And I'm just saying, if he wins 8 games, which would still be a solid season in year 1, if he wins 8 games, 7 games, even probably 9 games, and they're not in the college football playoff conversation, and Urban Meyer is right there, I think we could see the administration and the boosters and whoever else pulling the trigger on moving on from Coach Freeman, trying to go get Urban Meyer. Look, that's just my opinion on it. That's my take on it. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're a Notre Dame fan, disagree with me. I'm all about that. I'm all about having those conversations. I try to respond to every comment I get. Let me know what you think. Please hit subscribe.